Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and this morning we have a lot of stuff to talk about. Overnight, there was a maintenance that they announced a little bit back, and at least for myself personally, I was not expecting this much to come with it. We now have the deployment of Title Update 15.2, which has brought a lot of changes, including the Expertise and Conflict compensation caches that we've been waiting for quite a while, and you can see those details up on screen. We're going to dive into that, as well as a lot of the other things that were introduced with the new update, including some more controversial changes, which we will get into, but overall, I think this update is a very positive one for the game, at least, for the current state it's in right now. This is going to clear up a lot of issues, and other than the PC crash stuff, which I think should probably still be one of the devs' top priorities, whether or not it actually is right now, I don't know. Other than that, I think this puts us on a pretty good trajectory towards heading towards TU16, down the road. As long as we don't have more stuff introduced, we're really getting through the backlog of some of the issues that are present right now, and I think this update today absolutely helps that, and so I want to dive into all the details, let you know everything you need to know, and without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so here we are, and we're going to go through all the details so that you guys have everything you need to know and understand about this compensation that we are getting in-game. The first thing I do want to mention is that they are currently investigating reports of players not receiving their compensation packages that they should be. Basically, anyone who lost even one upgrade level from the Expertise Rollback or the Conflict issue should be receiving compensation, and so if that's not the case with yourself, definitely inform somebody of that in some way. If it has to be me in the comments, so be it. I can send that along if need be. But of course, Ubisoft forums and all those other places can get you help as well. But let's go through this because some people, I think, are misunderstanding how much compensation they're going to be receiving, and that is probably leading to a little bit of confusion in that regard. So, hello agents, we're happy to announce that the Expertise and Conflict rollback compensation containing blue, gray, green materials as well as field recon data, primer filaments, SHD calibration, and exotic materials is on the way. We have calculated precisely how many levels each agent lost and are compensating accordingly by providing one cache for every 20 levels lost. These caches contain everything you need to level up one item to 20. This item is also rounded up, so if you lost 25 levels, we grant you 2 caches. So, just to clear that up, if anyone is confused, they're not judging the compensation based off of how many expertise levels you lost. So it doesn't matter if you lost, like myself personally, I went from level 6 to 5, or if somebody went from 20 to 12. It doesn't matter what that is. It matters how many upgrades you lost from your items, because that is what you physically spent materials on, and that's what they're compensating people for. So if you lost even one level, then they're going to give you a cache. But even if you go up to 19, you're still only going to get one cache, because that cache gives you enough materials to level anything up to 20, right? But if you lost 21, then you'll get 2 caches, 21 to 39, so on and so forth. That's basically what they're saying here. To ensure that everyone, here's a really awesome change, by the way, that I probably promoted in the title because this is really awesome for the game. To ensure everybody has space for the materials, we have permanently raised the caps on primer filaments, protective fabric, receiver components, polycarbonate, ceramic, steel, carbon fiber, titanium electronics to 9,999, the field recon and SHD calibration to 1,000, and exotic components to 999. This is fantastic. I am super glad that we have a raise on materials across the board because it's just needed. When a game's going, over 3 years into its life cycle, it's just nice to have stuff like this when people stockpile so much stuff so often. This is going to be really healthy for the game. It already, feels great to have that much stuff in there after opening the compensation cache. And so there you go. Really great stuff. This was done for this Expertise and Conflict compensation rollout specifically, but you can expect an increase of the cap for all the crafting and optimization materials in the future as part of our mission to implement continuing quality of life improvements. Awesome. The material caches will be delivered to your inboxes today, Thursday, June 9th. I'm going to start playing a video here of myself when I went and redeemed my own. Where you're going to find it is in your stash in the mailbox section. It will be in the deliveries category, I believe it's called, and that's where you will find it's titled Expertise compensation cache, I believe. And so that's where you will see it. Again, if you are missing yours, if you believe you should have gotten one, certainly, make that reported because they are looking into issues of that happening. But for myself personally, that's where I found mine. Please bear in mind that if the inbox limit is exceeded, additional caches will be put in a queue and will be added to your inbox when there is space. So if you are currently full, pull something out and it should backfill it with the cache or caches that you should be receiving. Warning, even though we are raising the cap, do not attempt to open all caches simultaneously. Once you hit the cap, the excess materials will be lost. Instead, we recommend you open a couple at a time and spend your materials, as you will reach the cap fast. So just be wary. Even though they raised the cap, there is still a limit, so definitely don't go over that, because then you will be wasting the materials that you've been granted. So while this is quickly playing in the background, I just want to give everybody a quick breakdown of how many materials are coming per cache, because even for myself personally, who probably didn't lose this many materials overall, because again, I only lost maybe 5 to 6 upgrades total from the rollback. This is how many materials come in one cache. So if you get even 2, you're hitting the Mega Millions here. You're hitting the jackpot. Each cache contains 4,500 each of receiver components and protective fabric, 1,525 steel, ceramics, and polycarbonate, 2,625 titanium, electronics, and carbon fiber, 4,500 primer filaments, which is huge for expertise stuff, 55 exotic components, 240 field recon data, and 110 SHD calibration. So that is a lot of stuff across the board. And again, they said that this amount of materials is equal to what it takes to level up one item all the way from level 0 effectively to 20. And that is how they're kind of calculating this whole thing across the board, is that it should pretty much equal out to what you lost in the rollback and give you a little bit bonus just for all the trouble that we went through anyway. So I think overall, this has been a very positive change, a very positive way of implementing and rolling out the compensation, and I'm super glad that we have a permanent cap raise on the materials in the game. I just think that's going to be a very healthy thing for the long term. So in general, very happy with this aspect of the update, but there is more to talk about, so let's get to that. All right, so I wanted to tackle the compensation stuff first because that is what a lot of people will be seeing first when they log into the game, and I think it is probably the most important issue that was addressed in today's general maintenance and fixes. But here we come to the what are essentially the patch notes for Title Update 15.2, which I guess it doesn't specifically list in here, but Yannick did say on Twitter that this is indeed TU15.2 that is bringing all of these fixes and whatnot. So let's just go through them. There's some controversial, but also some very good stuff in here. So let's talk about it. Agents, the servers will shut down, blah, blah, blah. That already happened the previous night. Maintenance notes. Added the backpacks for the Fairview Crew Apparel event. This is great. Obviously, those were missing when it launched 2 days ago. We didn't really know or have a timeline of when those were going to get added in, and so they are now in the game. The clarification that I've received since first logging on this morning is that, at least from my point of view, what I've seen on the game, you won't see them anywhere as far as how you obtain them, where they come from, blah, blah, blah. You get them as completion rewards for the different outfits. So every time, I believe there's 4 backpacks and 5 outfits. So one of them doesn't give it. I don't know which one it is. But when you complete 4 of the outfits, it will automatically grant you one of the backpacks as a completion reward. And that shows up as an appearance mod in the existing transmog system slot for any of your backpacks in the game. Unfortunately, I am only at 6 out of 22 on the event so far, so I have not been granted any of these backpacks, so I cannot go in and show you where they are or what they would look like, because, again, I don't have them. But again, just in your regular appearance slot stuff, if you've completed any of the 5 outfits, go take a look in your appearance slots for any backpack that you want to wear or run on your build, and you should see it right in there. Additionally, it says on here, Hot Zone and Meltdown outfit completions will now receive mask rewards. Again, it doesn't show this, at least from what I've seen, so again, I do not know what these look like, because I've not completed any of the outfits yet. I'm only at 6 out of 22, but assumedly once you finish this, they will just show up in your mask collections as per usual in the appearance tab. So really cool that we now have the full extent of the apparel event available to us. And then it also says here, fix the issue with the red overlay light that was present in the apparel event screens. This is in there. I went and checked. The red light is gone from the overall cache view and when you inspect the items. So the apparel event, aside from not fully displaying what rewards you get as completion rewards, is now fully active and fully working. So that is really great to hear. We now finally have, everything working as intended. And then last up, we come to what is going to be highly contentious, I already know, in the comment section. Heartbreaker. Heartbreaker damage bonus has been changed to being additive instead of multiplicative. This will result in a noticeable drop in damage at high stacks, and Heartbreaker stacks no longer apply when hitting skill proxy enemies. I want to say this before I give any of my own thoughts. Yannick did confirm that they're not really considering this a nerf because this is how they intended it to work from the beginning. Obviously, that wasn't active in the PTS, or that wasn't changed from the PTS. That wasn't changed when it launched. It's happening now, almost a month into TU15, so I guess debatable on that, but in their mind, this was how Heartbreaker was intended to work all along, and this is what I will say. Regardless of what you think about this change, because I'm not here to invalidate what anybody thinks about, this quote-unquote nerf. Even if you thought Heartbreaker was completely fine as a set, I think it's hard to disagree with the idea that Heartbreaker, as it was outclassing a lot of other sets and builds in the game. It was far better than Striker, because it gave you bonus armor and a very high amount of damage. It was better than a lot of the other gear sets. It was a lot better than a lot of high-end builds, and that's not inherently wrong, right? but it was outclassing those sets. So the devs had a few options for how they could deal with that imbalance and how they wanted to try and approach making more gear more viable with the introduction of Heartbreaker with TU15. This is the approach that they took, and it has, in my opinion, solved that issue where now it is not so far outclassing these other sets that it invalidates them in higher end content. Whether or not you agree with the way they approached it is totally up to you, and I will be very interested to hear everybody's thoughts on that down below. I'm not really going to provide any sort of opinion on that. I'm just glad that more things are more viable now, as they should have been from the start. Maybe they should have gone about it a different way. That's not really for me to decide, but I am very curious to hear your thoughts on it. This is the change that they've implemented to Heartbreaker as of TU15.2. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to subscribe with notifications on so you can be updated every time I upload. Let me know your thoughts about all of the changes and big things that came today with TU15.2. What do you think about the expertise and conflict compensation stuff? Personally, I think that it was very fulfilling, at least in terms of the amount of materials they provided. I think a lot of people were worried that it was not going to be enough, but I think this is probably more than enough. But for anyone who didn't actually lose any upgrades, they aren't going to get any. So I think that calculation could be troublesome, at least for the way that some people might have lost their stuff. I don't know. It's hard to say at this point, but I'll be certainly curious to hear your thoughts on that, as well as the changes to Heartbreaker. I'm sure that's going to be, like I said, a very contentious one. So try and just convey your thoughts. I'll be interested to hear them. And the apparel stuff, I'm glad that that's all working properly now, and I look forward to now fully diving into it now that all the rewards are available. But yeah, I believe that is going to do it for this one, everybody. I didn't plan on doing this video this morning, as I didn't know all of this stuff was coming, so I've got a lot more to get to today. So I hope you enjoyed. That was about all I've got. And yeah, everybody, once again, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and until the next one, guys, RogueGold out.